Welcome to the Fantasy Football Healers program, a show that is Dynasty Fantasy Football, now infused by the Fantasyholics. Fantasyholics.com. You can find Fantasyholics1 on Twitter X, and you can follow me, Dustin Brown, at FF Healers, and our co-host Colton Palmer at FF Captain 22 on Twitter X, and welcome in Captain.
How's it going, guys? I'm here for another great day. We got a great time last night. Dustin and I shared a few beverages and quite a few good laughs at some of the picks and that we get to talk about today. This is the fresh reaction. We should have done it live to catch our real reactions last night because it was a hoot and a holler.
Definitely was a hoot and a holler. And for those listening to the podcast, not viewing us on YouTube, remember you can find us on YouTube. Just search Fantasy Football Healers. I had to call Colton Captain because his caption says Captain. Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Been my nickname my whole life. My initials are CAP, and my dad just rode that one my whole life. So now it's everything, Xbox tag, my fantasy football Twitter tag. I mean, I'm just the captain, man.
Yep.
I'm the captain now.
You are the captain now, but I guarantee you don't say 10-4. You say
7, 6, 7, 6, 7.
Wow.
10-4, rubber ducky.
Colton, let's get into the show. We're going to go over all things that is the NFL draft. We're going over round 1 here today. Next week, we'll go over rounds 2 and 3. Later on tonight, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, we are going to see the continuation of this NFL draft and its craziness. And there was a ton of craziness yesterday. And as you said, let's just see kind of where this draft goes. With the first pick in the NFL draft, we were talking back and forth. It would be just chaos and just entertainment galore if the Raiders decided, maybe we're going to pass and we're going to maybe we should just trade our picks away and just build on to 2027. But alas, they did choose Fernando Mendoza here at pick 1. Nobody here is surprised.
Wasn't a shock. You and I was actually running a little late because my kids were being needy, of course. Children needing a father, my goodness. But I was running a little late, and we were like, well, we're not going to be missing much for this first overall pick. We kind of knew it was happening. Good for the Raiders. They get a very precision-based quarterback that's just able to put the ball wherever he wants it. I've grown more and more on Mendoza after watching his tape and everything. So I think he's going to be a decent quarter for the Raiders. Now they just got to build up around them, man. They just got to get them some wide receivers.
Absolutely. And we were trying to see here, are they going to trade back into this first round and see if they can get Mendoza some weapons? We'll see how this first round actually ends up. Otherwise, they do have some picks later on, but they definitely need to get some wide receivers around Mendoza because right now they do not have any wide receivers of consequence on this team. I talked to my clinic with some clients and some of my staff, and I said, wouldn't it be entertaining if the Raiders decided not only to draft some wide receivers, some wide receiver help, but to just sign on Diggs and sign on Tyreek Hill? And then all of a sudden they go from having nothing to having some older veterans that have a lot of attitude in the city that is Vegas, the Sin City. I just think that would just provide so much entertainment value for the Raiders. And then for Tyreek Hill to have a couple games against his former team in the Kansas City Chiefs, I just think it would be awesome.
Could you imagine Tyreek living in Vegas? He was bad enough in Miami. Imagine Vegas.
Both Tyreek and Diggs, you could have just imagined them just like driving super fast on the strip. And they'd get in so much trouble. It'd be just ridiculous.
Pure chaos. I love it. Let's make it happen. Come on.
Yeah. And when one of my clients reminded me that Ruggs is now available also. So they could go with all three of these guys.
Oh, God, they can't bring him back.
Too soon?
I don't think he's out yet. I think he has the chance for probation here in like a year or so.
What a terrible situation that was. But nonetheless, we both agree Mendoza's going to need some help with his wide receivers. At least he's got Genty and he's got Bowers just to kind of be the anchors at this time. We go into pick 2. It kind of went right down the board of what everyone had thought. They went. The Jets went with David Bailey, edge out of Texas Tech. But the chaos really began at pick 3, and that's with the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals. And my understanding is that everybody in the Cardinals organization wanted to move back, but the general manager wanted a face of the franchise. So they decided to go with Jeremiah Love here and completely tank all of our Connor shares, all of my Tyler Algier shares. And now I'm just hoping that Tyler Algier gets moved somewhere else. And don't even mention Trey Benson.
Dude, what was the point of signing Algier? I don't understand, man.
Cheap contract, $7 million. Come on, Vikings. Can we make a trade and see if we get – can we just release Tyler Algier and go to the Minnesota Vikings? That would be sweet.
I mean, there's a 0% chance they went into this draft thinking that the Raiders or the Jets were going to draft this guy. There was a 0% chance. Those two teams both have running backs.
Yep.
So they knew long time ago that Love was going to be available to him, and after signing Algier and changing up Connor's his contract, everyone's like, oh, they're going to just roll with this at running back and just kind of look to 2027 for their quarterback and start building from there. And no, they just decided to just go and wreck everything by signing Algier, and he could have gone to a different team that we liked, and then drafting Jeremiah Love with the 3rd overall pick. Don't get me wrong. I love Jeremiah Love, and I don't actually hate the landing spot. I hate it for all the other people. I mean, Trey Benson, Jeremiah Love, or Trey Benson, James Conner, and Tyler Algier wrecked, man. Just wrecked.
But I also think that this was not like the peak spot for Jeremiah Love. Jim Carrey had him going to the Titans, and that would have had a lot better opportunities for him because there would have been really nobody else in town. And you would expect that they're still going to continue to build around Cam Ward at the wide receiver position. But to have him here landing with the Cardinals, I don't think they're going to have a lot of opportunities for scoring. And I think that's going to just drop a ceiling. And then because they have so many running backs, I can't imagine them just I feel like it's going to be like a Genty situation where they're not going to want to overrun his tires. They're going to want to save him until maybe when next season actually matters a little bit more, maybe when they draft a 2027 quarterback.
I mean, I hate to disagree with you, but I'm going to have to here. We saw James Conner. I mean, now granted, this is a whole new offensive, new head coach and offensive coordinator, but we saw James Conner just eat and dominate on this team. So, I mean, he destroyed, and he was their whole entire offense at one point a couple of years ago before getting hurt last year. And I think Jeremiah Love is a much better running back than James Conner. So he could absolutely just destroy and eat on this team. And, they're coming into the season with Jacoby Brissett as their starting quarterback. And he slung the ball last year. They're not going to continue to be able to do that. So I think he is going to get the production and the workload that you need. But I think you're very, very much right on the point of, I don't think they run him into the ground this year. They're not going to be using him just 24/7, but they're going to be catching him up to speed, see what they've got. I think it's going to be him and Algier, and I think they're going to move on from Trey Benson. So I think that's probably the most likely outcome here.
Yeah. Well, and that's if Jacoby Brissett decides that he wants to play. He sounds like he's holding out for some money. And then
the cheddar.
We talked about it last night, Colton. Who's the number 2 quarterback for the Cardinals right now?
Daddy Minshew, baby. It's Minshew season.
Minshew magic. I will say that he seems like he's fallen off the rails over these last 2 years with the production, but I feel like he's just been in awful situations.
I don't even care, man. I will root for Gardner Minshew until the day he is out of the league, and even then, I'll still be rooting for him.
Exactly. But I will say, like, we completely changed history when we had Jim Carrey and Dr. Eggman on, Dr. Robotnik on here. And just like last year, the draft changed. Like, we changed the future here, Colton. So just if we had our prop bets, hopefully we stuck with our first two, but maybe switch gears on that third pick. And fourth pick. The fourth pick, Carnell Tate goes to the Titans. We just said it. They're going to start surrounding Cam Ward with some talent, and they start here with what could potentially be the wide receiver one in this class. We'll see where the other two land. Carnell Tate goes to the Titans. What do you think about this one, Colton?
I mean, I think, and I called this right after the Cardinals took Love. I said, hey, I almost guarantee Titans are going wide receiver here. And they had to. They had to go wide receiver. They have to get Cam Ward some weapons. Is it my favorite landing spot for a wide receiver? None of the teams that need a wide receiver are my favorite landing spot for a wide receiver because it's typically a bad team. But, I think he's going to be fine here. He's going to be that reliable wide receiver for Cam Ward. We haven't talked about our wide receivers yet, but, I see him as a really strong two. I don't know if he's going to be that stud alpha that's just going to be, super dominant, but I think he'll be a very reliable wide receiver for Cam Ward. And, I think he'll be an upper end wide receiver too, he'll get the good targets. He'll get quite a few targets, but especially sitting here with Tennessee, I just don't see him having the potential upside of being a wide receiver one.
I feel like he's easily the wide receiver one for this Titans wide
for
receiver
the team.
though.
Yes.
For the team themselves.
Yes.
We will see. Like, they're going to give Cam Ward every opportunity to grow this year. Cam Ward, I mean, he fell short of expectations last year with this Titans organization. It was looking pretty tough at times to even watch the Tennessee Titans. And so now they're giving him a wide receiver, a true wide receiver. We can't just all rely on Cashmere and Ayo Manor to be the top two wide receivers on this team.
Chimray DK, man.
Yeah, Cashmere.
Is that what you were referring to as Cashmere?
Yeah.
I was so confused when you said that. I'm like, Cash? Okay.
Yeah, if you look at his name, it looks like it's spelled Cashmere.
Okay. All right, I could see it. Next pick.
All right. We're going next pick. We got Arvell Reese going to the Giants. And then the Kansas City Chiefs decided to trade with the Cleveland Browns in order to get Mansour Delaney. It sounded like he was pretty much the only cornerback that was like a blue chip prospect that was remaining because one of the other cornerbacks ended up getting injured. Sounds like he may have to have knee surgery. And then it goes Washington. There was all signs leading to Sonny Styles going there. It sounded like Washington absolutely loved him. And if he was going to fall to them at 7, they were going basically Sonny Styles no matter what. And then finally, when we get into another fantasy relevant player, we get our second wide receiver that comes off with the Saints, Jordan Tyson, our pre-draft wide receiver one.
And with this landing spot, he's gonna stay there for me, man. I do not hate the landing spot here with the Saints. We kind of spoke about this last night. I think you're a little bit more disappointed in it than I am. I think he's gonna mesh really, really well with Chris Olave here. I think he's going to be a more kind of like dominant, bully ball guy that like is the stud. And Chris Olave is going to be able to, I think it's going to free up Olave. I think it's going to make Olave a better wide receiver because there's no other wide receivers of consequence on that team. So it was just like, well, if they're throwing it, it's most likely going to Olave. Let's murder him. And let's talk about Olave's injury history. The dude's had 5 concussions, I think. And so this is going to take a little bit of heat off of him. I think it's going to be able to save, Olave's lifespan and not have to catch so many balls per game and just keep getting the crap knocked out of him. So I really like this landing spot. They're the only 2 wide receiver or like receiving options still. I mean, with them moving on from Shaheed, You do have Devon Vele, which kind of started poking his head out, but there's going to be plenty to go around between these two. Shuck showed enough for me last year to kind of have a little bit of faith in him, and this has given him every chance to kind of step up here, getting him to having 2 wide receivers now.
Let's reverse that 1 second. Say there about Chuck?
He showed enough that I think that he has a chance to be good in the NFL, even if he is 80 years old. His second year in the league, and he's going on 81. So,
all right, I like that you're giving some love to Shuck. If you listened to us prior to your rookie drafts, you probably got Shuck on your roster before the NFL draft, and then also after the NFL draft, picking him up off the waivers when available, trying to get him a little bit later. Seemed like as we got closer and further, or actually as we got further away from the NFL draft, it seemed like the steam started to rise for Shuck in our fantasy drafts for Superflex. He was starting to go late second round. That was a little too rich for me, but it's turned out that even if you paid that late second round for Shuck, it's paying dividends.
Ah, shucks.
Number 9. Remember, Cleveland traded back with Kansas City, and we didn't talk about the trade back because Cleveland ended up accumulating a 3rd and a 5th round pick in order to trade back. And I thought, what if the Browns decide that they just want to just keep trading back and just accumulating more picks? But instead, they stuck pat. They did what Jim Carrey Multiverse was considering a good pick for the Cleveland Browns, and that was to get an offensive tackle. It just was a different tackle than what they had in mind. Spencer Fano, offensive tackle for Utah, ended up getting drafted for Cleveland. So they're actually getting like a decent foundational piece and hopefully allowing whatever quarterback that's there to maybe have some time to throw the ball, which would be excellent, and maybe make some running paths for Samson and the rest of the running backs.
Maybe these teams are finally figuring out that linemen are important in the game of football.
Yep, that would be a foundational piece. And we saw it just last year with with the LA Chargers. The LA Chargers, they started just to run out of pieces, and they had like the most elite offensive line, and then they got all nicked up, and then they weren't even the same team when it came to be playoffs.
Yeah.
Pick 10, the New York Giants had another pick here. Everyone's thinking, well, maybe they need some receiver help because of Neighbor's injury. Is he going to be available or not? He might not be available for the first 4 weeks of the season. Wan'Dale Robinson, like, what do these guys have that they're going to throw to? And instead, they chose Francis Mauigoa, or I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Moega?
Moega?
Moega? I think it was Moega last night.
So, again, another foundational piece that'll help Jackson Dart. Protect that guy. You got to protect your assets. You can't have him just continue to get concussions also and get knocked around.
Him and Scottaboo both, man. They got to protect their heads. The bigger the hole you can get for them and more time, just protect those two. I mean, they're something to behold, and we want them in the league because they make it fun. They really do. They're just crazy little bastards that make the game fun. And so getting them, and I'm glad they didn't go, running back like everybody thought they could potentially do. I mean, it wasn't even an option thanks to the Cardinals. So loved that for us. Love that.
Love.
But yeah, just another quarter piece to boost up Scottaboo and Jackson Dart.
Yep, and in my mock that I ended up submitting to the Huddle Report, I had Jordan Tyson going here at pick 10 for the Giants. So I thought they were going to go wide receiver, but the Saints ended up taking Jordan Tyson, and it looks like they weren't really leaning for Lemon here or any other receiver. So they're like, you know what? Let's get one of the better tackles in this class, and they get him here at pick 10, which might be a steal for him. The Cowboys, they were so excited, they ended up trading up one spot with the Miami Dolphins. It sounded like they just gave them a bag of chips and moved up one spot so that way they could get the number one safety in this year's class in Caleb Downs. And then Miami decided to go with an offensive tackle also. Again, following in the footsteps of the Browns, of the Giants. Hey, let's get this key cog and see if we can actually build this team up. And they get just a mammoth of a man in Caden Proctor, called the doctor.
I'm imagining the video. If to everybody that watched last week, when they called Caden Proctor, you had to know and just have a flashback to what Dustin had to go through as Jim Carrey coming out of the Rhino for this man. So yes, when this guy came on last night, I almost knew instantly, and I couldn't help but laugh.
Don't mind me, Mr. Quinn. I'm just a curious little rhino. Kind of hot in this rhino. Must have air. Call the doctor. This rhino is breaching. Caden Proctor goes to the Steelers.
Only he doesn't go to the Steelers. He goes to the Dolphins. Are you still there, Colton?
It's the close-up on it, too, that just gets me. Next pick, please.
All right, we better move on, just like we did with the draft. Oh my goodness, this one got us completely rolling, Colton, last night. We said, and if I recall, I called it before it even hit. I said, "Hey, Colton, oh, guess what? This is gonna be Ty Simpson," thinking it was a complete joke, only for Ty Simpson to be drafted to the Rams. They said, "F it." You know, we're just going to go Ty Simpson. We're in win now mode. We want to go for a Super Bowl, but let's get a player that isn't going to do darn thing for our team. Ty Simpson, come on up.
I mean, maybe that was what was going through their mind. It's they're going to win they're going for the Super Bowl. They're a good team. I don't think they lost a lot of pieces, and they're saying Matt Stafford's old, man, and we're going to be a good team. We're not getting a quarterback next year. It ain't happening. And so my guess is they're just like, you know what? We gotta, if we're gonna get a quarterback, we gotta do it now. And so they just went for it. He's very inexperienced, which is kind of one of our big knocks on him. Neither you nor I liked him that much, but the Rams must have saw something, and they're like, hey, we have Matt Stafford. He's gonna sit at least a year, if not more. I mean, a lot of people are comparing this to like the Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers situation. I don't think Ty Simpson's as good as Love. But, you know, the Rams must have saw enough that they were like, if we can get this guy some experience by Stafford, we can maybe develop him. So definitely a shocker. It's going to rise his draft stock. And if you're listening to us, don't fall for it.
No, let everyone else fall for it, and just not you.
No.
Ty Simpson had 4 years at Alabama, 1 year of production, and there's two things that I'm thinking here that the Rams may be doing. As you said, Stafford being injury prone, he's getting older. Last year in the entire offseason, there was concerns that he wasn't going to be available for the season last year. And then come to find out he got healthy, and people thought that the Rams were just joking around, saying that Stafford was just messing around so he wouldn't have to do the preseason and stuff. And Stafford's like, no, that was real. He was having to like tell people like, no, that was real. I was having some real issues. So Ty Simpson, they got him as a backup now, but they did have Jimmy Garoppolo, who has a lot of experience, but he just liked to throw hospital balls. So maybe Adams is like, look, we don't want Jimmy to be the number 2 quarterback. Let's get somebody else in house. They can maybe develop Ty Simpson. Again, 6'2", the interview lady that was interviewing him last night, I think she was just as tall as Ty Simpson was when she was doing the interview. But I digress. The other thing I was thinking here with the Rams with getting Ty Simpson is maybe they were just playing like a defensive match of checkers. They're like, you know what? I'm going to do a castle. I'm going to just protect my assets, and I'm going to stop the other team from getting this player, and the other team being the Cardinals, who are still in their division. There was a lot of people saying that the Cardinals were going to trade up into the first round somewhere to get Ty Simpson. But the Rams are like, I say nay. I'm getting Ty Simpson, and you can stick with Brissett if he decides to stick around.
Was it Jimmy Garoppolo on the Raiders when Devonta Adams was there, and he was like, I've never been hit so much in my goddamn life. I think it was Jimmy Garoppolo throwing him the hospital balls there. So that man was like, get him out. I don't care who you bring in.
It's well known that Adams was not happy with Garoppolo throwing him the ball. Garoppolo ended up getting benched by the Raiders, and I can't remember who they ended up putting in afterwards, but it didn't get any better.
O'Connell. I think it wasn't Aiden O'Connell.
Was it Aiden O'Connell? I couldn't remember if he was healthy or not. It was like O'Connell and Minshew and Jimmy G, and it was just a complete mess.
Yeah,
and Adams finally got out of there.
Yeah, just for Jimmy G to fall into LA.
We've got some commentary here in the comments. Hey, thanks Tier 1 QB for being part of this content here. He says McVay didn't sound happy about the pick.
Oh no, I haven't seen that. Thank you for that content for sure, because one of my thoughts was, hey, maybe McVay saw something in this kid and thought he could develop him. But if he didn't sound happy, this might be a very big no bueno. This might be like the Falcons 2.0 here. I mean, going to get Penix and everything. But man, that's wild.
Yeah. So you're saying McVay didn't provide one of those faces like Kevin O'Connell after they got Dallas Turner? What? We're getting him? He didn't do one of those?
No, not excited. Apparently. I'm going to go and look it up.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to look it up, too, because I didn't watch that. I think we were too busy laughing last night, Colton, with this pick, that we didn't even see what was really playing on the screen until it was over. The Ravens did not go with the defensive player. They ended up getting they solidified their line by getting a guard. Olaveg alone, I believe is how you pronounce his name. So they're shoring up a pretty good-sized player on their offensive line in order to continue to just make these big holes for Henry to run through.
Can't be mad when you go line. So.
And then the Buccaneers did not go wide receiver, Colton. They did not go Denzel Boston. They ended up going with Ruben Bain Jr., who looked like he slid quite a ways down here to pick 15. But they shore up their edge, and it just seems like the Buccaneers always tend to get value in the first round of the NFL draft on their defensive side.
Yeah, and it's definitely this was one of the options for who the next guy is to go to. He was rumored, which I'm very glad they decided to go Ruben Bain rather than our next guy.
Yep. So there was a lot of circles around the league that just thought for some reason that Sadiq would have fit in well with the Buccaneers, and they kept saying that he's going to be the number 15th pick to the Buccaneers, even though that they've got Kate Otten and company there and all the wide receivers and such. But no, the Jets decided just 1 year later, after drafting Mason Taylor on day 2, they decide, nope, this isn't going to cut it for us. We need a move tight end that may or may not be on the field at all times in Kenyon Sadiq. Kenyon Sadiq is now a Jet. Jets, Jets.
And we are only at the 16th pick, and we've already hit my least favorite pick. I declared this last night before any of the picks had happened. So my least favorite pick at 13 with Simpson going to the Rams. And my favorite pick of them all of this draft going here, 16, Kenyon Sadiq to the Jets. Because now I can just wash my hands of this guy, and I don't even have to worry about missing out on Kenyon Sadiq at all. There was a little bit of fear going into this, because you and I both agreed finally. I swapped places that Stowers is my number 1. I was like, Sadiq just has all this athleticism, and it made me nervous to just say, I don't want to draft. I don't want to miss out on this super athletic tight end. There is possibility. There is upside. Well, not anymore thanks to the Jets. They took that all away from me, and now I don't even have to worry about it. So favorite pick of the draft, thank you, Jets, for picking someone that I was kind of on the fence about, and now I have hopped off the fence.
So we all know at this point that Eli Stowers wasn't drafted in the first round. We may see his name get called here on day 2. Where would you like to see Stowers land? And where would you say, I don't know if I really care for this spot for Stowers. So I want to know, like, where's a good landing spot and where's a not so good landing spot for Eli Stowers?
So you and I kind of talked about it last night that honestly, I wouldn't hate him coming to Minnesota. I would actually really enjoy that. And TJ Hawkinson, they brought him in from the Lions to kind of be that guy, and he just, after the injury, just doesn't look the same last year. He just looked slow and rather depressing. He had quite a few dropped balls. So, getting a third option for whoever the quarterback is, for Kyler Murray there, I think would be actually really good. And I would really like to see him there. A place I would absolutely be devastated to see him land. Honestly, there's not a place that I'm like, I would hate it, because like some of the teams already have, like, that I would dislike, already have a tight end of consequence, such as the Jets taking Sadiq. The Browns have Harold Fannin. Washington did just pick up Chigakonkwo. They do have Ben Sinnott there too. But man, Stowers would dominate there as well.
I wouldn't like Stowers with Buffalo.
Well, no, because they already have a tight end. That's why I didn't mention Buffalo. They have a tight end.
They just spread the ball around. And
you're not agreeing with that they already have a tight end piece?
Well, I know they do. Knox, he's there. Dawson Knox is present.
I set myself up for that one.
He is a presence there. I'm aware of Knox.
I set myself up for that one. But honestly, I think Stowers has the weapons and the build to kind of survive anywhere. I do really like him, and I think he'll be all right no matter where he lands, so long as it isn't buried on the depth chart.
I'd like to see him go to the Broncos. I think Sean Payton, he wanted the Evan Ingram to be the Evan Ingram of young, and I feel like that's Eli Stowers. And so he wanted a joker. He could get a joker if he gets Eli Stowers to go to the Broncos.
That is such a great landing spot that you bring up there. I would absolutely love that. I would be 100% in. You are correct.
All right. Number 17 is the Lions. They go with offensive tackle. They did not go defense like the Jim Carrey multiverse had suggested, with the North going just all defense. They go with an offensive tackle, Blake Miller. He sounds like he's a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience on the offensive line. I did a little bit of research on him yesterday before the NFL draft, because I was applying for the PFF first round mock, and I decided not to have Blake Miller as one of the offensive tackles going in this year's first round. The Minnesota Vikings at pick 18. I'm still just wondering what the heck we were thinking. We ended up going with Caleb Banks. He's a great player. He's got a lot of athleticism. We get a defensive tackle here. It seemed like everybody was thinking that they're going safety. We've talked about it on this show, Colton. Like, safety in the first round is not usually a place that you want to like target in the first round of the NFL draft. Caleb Downs, I would have loved to see him go here. I knew he was never going to make it. A lot of people thought that Dylan Theinman was going to be the guy out of Oregon. He ends up not getting picked here. We end up going with Caleb Banks. And I say we because you have now committed to be a Vikings fan.
I am officially declared, and my wife also helped declare that for me. She got me the Justin Jefferson jersey, and she said, you need a primary team. And I said, all right, Vikings it is, because I'm surrounded by you guys. My dad, I got you, my dad's best friend, who is around constantly, makes me call him uncle. I don't know, he's weird. But yeah, and so, it's time to give in and go back to my roots. I was a big Vikings fan when I was young, so Skull, officially the primary team.
I can't find it fast enough, Colton. I'm trying to find the horn, and I can't seem to find it. Thank you.
It's cool. But did you see his hand size, Dustin?
I didn't see his hand size. I'm not
10?
aware of Caleb Banks' hand size. Can you let me know what his hand size is?
10 and 7/8 inch. He has almost 11-inch honkers, dude. My goodness. Those are some big hands. You gotta be impressed and loving that.
Grab some jerseys, you can grab some pads, and you can throw people to the ground, and you go in for that quarterback and those running backs that are trying to make a play, and you're just like, not in my house. I'm gonna grasp onto the ball and take it in for the end zone.
Big
Let's
hands,
go.
man.
Moving on. Monroe Freeling goes to the Panthers. They picked a good pick here. Again, another foundational offensive tackle. And then finally, fantasy relevant play right here, Colton. The Eagles have decided with their 20th overall pick to move. Well, first off, they moved up with Dallas. So Dallas chose not to draft here. They decided they're going to stay pat. They're going to trade with an interdivision rival with Philadelphia. Philadelphia moves up to pick 20 to get Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC.
This one I'm indifferent. I had a buddy actually that I play in a lot of leagues with last night. He's a Rams fan, so obviously I was making fun of him. And he came back and was like, "Yeah, how do you feel about the Mekhi Lemon pick though?" He was loving it. He's like, "I think it's a perfect spot." I'm like, I'm indifferent. They really love Devonta Smith there, and he is the true route runner. I think he's going to be become the target hog. And Mekhi Lemon, we haven't had a chance to talk about wide receivers, but he has an interesting play style that with his smaller frame, I do not know how well it is going to translate. I mean, he's 5'11", 192 pounds, and in his college tape, he was just slippery, and there's a lot of like jersey grabbing and missed tackles on him. And with his frame in the NFL, like these guys aren't going to be doing that. They're just going to pummel him. So I don't know how well it's going to translate. I do like him. He is, still in that top 3 wide receivers for me. And the Eagles are a very good offense and a very good team, but it's just, are they going to use him enough? Is he going to get enough targets? So it's going to be interesting. I'm indifferent about the pick because it's still a good team, a good offense, and they've got a new offensive coordinator, so we see if they pass the ball more. But it is 100% for sure, though, at this point, A.J. Brown is out the door. That's the thing we know.
But is Lemon too similar to Devonta Smith?
I don't think they're too similar. I mean, they both are high, volume slot receivers. I would say that Devonta Smith is the more, tactician of route running, whereas Mekhi Lemon was kind of like the yak guy, and he was more slippery. So they are similar into where they play, but they have very different, I would say, styles after.
Okay. So I think everybody wants to know here. We've got Carnell Tate going to the Titans at pick 4. Jordan Tyson, he goes to the Saints at pick 8. And then we see Mekhi Lemon get drafted in the first round at pick 20, goes to the Eagles. Of those 3, how would you rate Tate, Tyson, and Lemon? Because those were the big 3 that you're talking about.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go ahead and plant it now. I'm going Tyson with the Saints. I think I'm gonna go Tate with the Titans and then Lemon with the Eagles.
And for entertainment purposes, I can't disagree really. That's kind of where my mind's going. I thought maybe Tate over Tyson, but I feel like Tyson's going to have more scoring opportunities.
I think he's going to
than Tate.
I think he's going to have more scoring opportunities, and until the Titans get more weapons, teams are going to be able to just focus in on Tate. I think he'll still be all right. I think he's good enough to kind of withstand that to a certain extent. But until they have more weapons there, that's the nice thing about Tyson. They're going to still have to focus on Olave too. So they're not going to be able to just double down on Tyson here. You still got to be able to guard Olave. So I think that's going to really open up the field for him. And sometimes having a 2 that's really good like this is even better, to help open up that field. I mean, we see Jamar Chase and my goodness, why am I drawing a blank on his name?
Higgins.
Higgins. We see them. They both play better when both of them are on the field, and that's because it's like, crap, we cannot double Jamar, or crap, we can't double T. Higgins. So just having a very good two, I think, really helps open up that field. So, and I think there's going to be enough volume there for Tyson. And Lemons is just, I think I'm just indifferent about that spot. And he still has Devonta Smith there too. So I'm just indifferent about that one, man. So that's why I put him at the 3, is because of the indifference.
Good point with having two, good wide receivers being on the same team, opening up the field for each other. I like that with the Saints. And in between Tate and Lemon, I'm just thinking about like scoring opportunities. The Eagles would have more scoring opportunities, but the Titans, they don't have like the rushing component compared to the Eagles. They still have Saquon and they got Bigsby, and we've seen it the last 2 years. It doesn't seem like Hurts is really having to throw the ball that much when they get on the goal line. Like if it's not Saquon, it's Hurts that's going to be running it in. So that takes some of the scoring opportunities away. And so I think that makes me agree. Now I'm looking at opportunity share. Well, Tate's going to be the big man on campus, while Lemon's going to have to at least compete with Smith, Goddard, and we're going to see what happens with A.J. Brown. But it sounds like he's out the door. It sounds like he's going to be a Patriot.
Yeah, and the Eagles also brought in a couple other guys in this offseason.
Wicks.
Yep, Dontavian Wicks is there.
You
also forgot about your boy, Will Shipley.
I just traded away Will Shipley in a league. I had a three-player package. I had too many players on my roster. They were all players that I really liked. Musgrave, Shipley. Musgrave, let's not forget, like Tucker Kraft, he's probably going to be on the IR for a long time for the start of the season. In a 2 tight end league, like Musgrave's he's going to show some value. Shipley, I really like. I think that he's a better running back than Bigsby. Bigsby, come on. And then Drew Lock, he's still a good backup. And the guy that had him, he also had Darnold. So it just made sense if he wanted to back up to Darnold. But I only got like a 2028 third round pick for the 3, but it helped me consolidate and it helped give this person some depth. So it was a win-win for both of our teams.
Tank Bigsby sounds like he should be on the D line.
I'm not a Bigsby guy.
Next pick.
Okay. Number 21, the offensive tackle. Oh, this was the guy that you said you were familiar with, Max Hinecker.
Oh, yes. I saw like just an article on Facebook on him right before the draft, actually. Not long. I was just kind of scrolling at home and I was like, oh, that's just an interesting little read.
Akeem Mesidor, edge, goes to the Chargers. They're trying to shore up their defense, just like the Kansas City Chiefs, in a division that seems to get more competitive each year. Malachi Lawrence, edge, is drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, a team that didn't have much of a defense until it started to mesh a little bit more towards the end of the season. But now he's going to match up with a couple of the big boys that they got at the defensive tackle position. Remember, they got Rashawn Gary from the Packers, and then they also got the Packers' other defensive tackle in the trade for Parsons last year. So their defensive line is starting to shore up, and now they just need to fill in with some of these cornerbacks and linebackers that are still going to be available in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round of this year's draft. And then finally, a fantasy relevant player is on the board. The Browns decide to go with Kevin Concepcion, one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Goes to the Browns.
This is second least favorite pick, behind the good old Ty Simpson going to the Rams. Remember that, everybody. Ty Simpson went to the Rams. Don't fall for it. That's the theme of today. But Casey Concepcion, I liked his tape. I think he's a fun, interesting player, and he's one of those guys that definitely have some question marks surrounding whether he's going to work out in the NFL. And at this point, I have to. I mean, we'll talk about a few following guys here in a second, but at this point, I think I kind of have to leave him where he's at still. But the question mark gets bigger, and I'm moving out of trying to get these middling first round picks at this point because some of these guys that I had slotted at my mid first, I was kind of excited about. With him going to the Browns, man, I'm slightly no longer excited. Not even slightly. I'm just no longer excited.
Concepcion or Lemon?
Oh, Lemon, easily.
Easily?
Oh, easy. Easy peasy.
Just
Lemon
because-
squeezy.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Nice one, Colton. I like it. Very good. Consolidated targets. He's going to have the target share there. They don't have Njoku anymore. They don't really have any other wide receivers of consequence. Jerry Jeudy's still there. The corpse that is Jerry Jeudy, and we still don't know who the quarterback is.
Harold Fannin is operates similar to Casey Concepcion though. Like the guy that you want to get the ball into his hand and just let him make an athletic play. That's who Casey Concepcion is. And that's what Harold Fannin is, except for I think he's much bigger and much better at it. So I don't see him getting those, kind of made up plays for him, because I would rather give that to Fannin because there's a higher chance it turns out better.
And Casey Concepcion, when he has the ball in his hands, he's electric. But when I was watching him at the combine, they had him as 5'10" or 5'11", and I swear to you, 2 inches of his height was his hair. And he just looked scrawny. He looked small. He reminded me of Tank Dell. And Tank Dell, he had a year, with the Texans. But guys like that, they just don't seem to last in the league. I mean, it's been 2 seasons since we've seen Tank Dell.
I mean, he's got a lot more weight on him than Tank Dell. He's 196 pounds. Tank Dell, I think, came in at 170, 175.
Okay, here we go. I'm hearing it all day long from Bears fans. Hey, what do you guys think about the Vikings pick? We got Dylan Thyman at pick 25.
Is that your best Bears impression?
That's my best Bears impression.
That's
The Bears.
Pretty accurate. The Bears.
Good pick, Bears. Okay, you guys got a good pick here. Again, congratulations for getting a safety in the first round of the NFL draft. But I don't know. The Vikings, I think we made a mistake. I think the Bears, you kind of wonder, were they just oh man, there's all these knocks that say the Vikings are going to get this guy. Maybe we should get him now that he's fallen to us. What do you think?
I mean, or maybe this is the difference of having an established GM and not having a GM at all.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong, Colton.
No, unfortunately.
All right. These next couple picks, we got a guard going to the Texans, Kalen Rutledge. We've got Chris Johnson, cornerback, going to the Dolphins. The Dolphins decide they are going to wait on getting another weapon for their offense. I mean, the Dolphins still just don't seem like they have a whole lot on their offense at all. They're building their defense here. Caleb Lemieux is the offensive tackle, and the Patriots are trying to correct their wrong from last year. Just like Quantum Leap, they're trying to go back in time to fix what was wrong in order to make today right.
Yeah, I'm just now realizing Peter Woods has a double phallic-y name. Two names for manhood. Poor guy.
Oh man, Colton.
just looking at it.
All right. Well, Peter Woods goes to the Kansas City Chiefs here, defensive tackle. They seem to continue to build their defense. Got a few more picks here coming up. We got 2 fantasy relevant players. We've got the Jets. They are continuing to build in this first round. They decide to go with Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana, building their wide receiver core. Going to be with the Kenyon Sadiq. He's going to be with Garrett Wilson and Geno Smith.
And see, this is
Geno Smith.
This is where I was saying, we'll talk about the next guy in a minute. Because I had it, my top 3, Tate, Lemon, Tyson. I had them there, and they got changed up. I think I had them the exact same. I think I had Tyson, Tate, Lemon, so I think they remained the same. And these guys, same thing. I was waiting on landing spot kind of between Cooper and Casey Concepcion, and they both landed. And garbage places. And so they pretty much remain the exact same to me because I'm like, I hate both their landing spots. So I think either one, I don't really care in terms of swapping them in my rankings. I think the landing spots equate to both of them remaining where they're at as my 4 and 5.
So you like Concepcion with the Browns over Cooper with the Jets?
I think I still like Concepcion over Cooper with the Jets because I think I like Casey Concepcion as a player just slightly more. I think he's just a little bit better of a wide receiver. So I'm just going to go over landing spot. I'm just going to stick with the talent aspect on this one.
And I'm leaning more towards Omar Cooper with the Jets over Casey Concepcion with the Browns. I think maybe a lot of it has to do with me being at the combine and seeing these players. And I was more impressed with Omar Cooper than I was with Casey Concepcion at the NFL at the combine. And it feels like the Jets are trying to do something. It seems like they're trying to actually like build this team and have somewhat of a plan to get David Bailey. They're like, you know what? We made a mistake at our tight end position. We're gonna try. We're gonna try to build this offense. We're gonna try and get Kenyon Sadiq, an athletic freak. We're looking at the right pieces here. We're getting a tight end. We're getting a wide receiver. We don't have the queen chess piece yet at our quarterback spot, but we know that the 2027 class is filled with them. Let's just kind of build around it. And again, we look at the Browns, and it just seems like they're just picking straws. And so I'm going to trust an organization that appears like they're actually trying to make growth in the Jets compared to a team that seems like they just are stuck in the mud and don't know how to swim out with the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, you can have an argument for that, and I see you make some very good points about it, but I just don't know. I saw on Cooper's tape, it was just a lot of manufactured short line, give him the ball, and he just kind of does make things happen, which is awesome, and it works in college, but we see a lot of these guys like that come into the NFL, and it just doesn't work unless you are that special. And I just don't know. Does he have a higher ceiling than Concepcion? I think you could argue yes. But at the same time, I think he has a lower floor. So it's the higher risk, higher reward argument kind of between the two.
I'd say Concepcion probably has a higher ceiling personally than Omar Cooper, mainly because Omar Cooper has to compete with Garrett Wilson, who I think is an elite talent at the wide receiver position. And as far as the Browns are concerned, like they don't really have any other wide receiver of consequence. Yes, they have Fannin Jr., which he's fantastic, but at the wide receiver position, they don't really have anybody else that can compete with Concepcion, even at his small stature.
The two wide receiver argument does come into play with having Garrett Wilson across from you, though, too. Maybe it opens them up.
You're not wrong.
You got to keep them separated.
Man, I was ready to jam to that.
What's that?
I was ready to jam to that song.
I love that song. The Titans decided to go with Keldrick Falk, edge. He is a big, giant guy who can really play that heavy edge. We talked about it in last week's episode. I think Falk is going to be a great piece on this defense. The Titans' defense have not been very good for some time, so I feel like the Titans are trying to make the right moves here by going Tate, by going Falk, and then we see the Seahawks make just – it reminds me almost like Rashad Penny when the Seahawks ended up drafting him in the 20s. And we saw how that turned out. And now they're deciding, well, with one of their 3 picks, they do only have like 3 picks, Colton. And I suspect because Ty Simpson was drafted 13th overall to the Rams, it probably turned a lot of people off to try and trade back up to maybe get a Ty Simpson in this year's class. So they're probably like, well, we don't see any good trade partners. We're just going to stand pat. Let's just get the highest guy that we have on our board, and that's Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame.
Well, the reason they couldn't find any trade partners is because Buffalo kept finding those trade partners. Buffalo traded back twice. They traded the 28 back to 31 and then traded the 31 back into the second round. So they're like, hey, we got to trade for you. Sorry, Buffalo. Buffalo's already trading with us again.
Yep. They did that last year too, and who did they get, Colton?
Not
Or
last
2
year.
years
2
ago.
years
It was
ago.
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
But don't worry, we have Keon Coleman 2.0 here. Keon Coleman light, as you may. So let's see if they do it again.
And the Panthers didn't want to trade up to pick 32 to get a guy like Leggett.
Yeah, but anyways, Jadarian Price, it's going to bump him up because he's landing on the Seahawks. Charbonnet could be out the whole season. He's the only running back there besides George Holani, which the George Holani truthers are out there and they believe. But he's going to get the work. So at this point, I think the artificial bump of landing spot and he gets the draft capital in the first round. I think you kind of have to go with it. And where would you put him above those other two wide receivers that we've been kind of tossing back, Casey Concepcion and
I would. And here's the thing, Colton, like it's going to get crazy out here in our rookie drafts because I could see people making the decision, and we've seen it 5, 6, 7 years ago with CEH. CEH, everybody had down as like their number 5, number 6 running back below like a Jonathan Taylor. And then all of a sudden he goes to Kansas City, a prime spot for the running back position, and then he gets thrust into that running back 1 spot. Are we going to see that with Jadarian Price all of a sudden not like becoming like then that 1, 2, 3 pick range? Is there a chance that he could go ahead of Love in your rookie drafts because Jadarian Price is the only running back in town on the Seahawks who's a run-dominant team, Charbonnet being injured, and no other guy in town. And then you got Love, who's going against James Conner, Algier, and Ty Benson. Like, there's an argument to be had that Jadarian Price has the opportunity. He has the draft capital because he's still in the first round of the NFL draft, and he's joining the Super Bowl winning Seahawks.
There is no argument to be made. If you pick Jadarian Price over Love, you're a moron. I'm sorry to tell you this, but so don't.
You're gonna see it, and if anyone sees it, please screenshot it and post at FF Healers. I've got a draft this weekend on Sunday. I'll be curious to see what happens. I got another draft next week on Saturday. I'll be curious to see what happens. I got another draft that comes up the following Saturday. Like, as we get further out from the draft, people are going to analyze the draft a little bit more clearly. And I think if you look up to about a couple weeks from now, it would not surprise me none the least that somebody out there is thinking, I'm going to overthink it. I'm going to go Jadarian Price over Love.
I don't know if you get Jadarian Price over Love because Love has been so hyped and he went 3 overall. I could see Price maybe bumping out some of the big 3 wide receivers. I could see someone saying, hey, Tyson, Tate, or Lemon, I like Price more than them, and him get bumped up into that area. But Love has been pretty much established as the 101 for the past like 6 months at this point. And so I don't see him making that jump, especially Love going 3rd overall. People aren't going to overlook that. Now, if you're telling me like Price went 105 or something, I mean, to like somewhere like that we liked, then I could see the argument. But he's at the back of the first, and Price is way up the beginning. But
Price is going to be a top 6 pick in your leagues.
I could see Price jumping some of the big 3 wide receivers that we talk about.
He's gonna be top 6, top 5, I think, pretty easy in a lot of our leagues, Colton. I'm just wondering, does he have a chance to make that jump to be the 101 in any of the rookie drafts? Just because I can see people just overthinking it. I'm the only guy in town. He's got the draft capital.
Not people that listen to the healers.
Maybe they're not. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe they're not paying attention to the fantasy football healers and the fantasy holics. They're like, we'll see what happens. But he could be the 102. I mean, would you take Price over Fernando Mendoza in Superflex?
No, I wouldn't take him.
Would you take Price over Tyson?
Not Tyson.
Would you take Price over Tate?
Not Tate.
Okay. Lemon.
That's where we could have a discussion.
So
and I think that's where I think we could have an argument for either side on that one is Lemon or Price. So, you're sitting at the 105, 106 now with Price. But that's where I would put him now, actually, too, in my own opinion. And like you and I said, Charbonnet may not be back this whole year, so he could have the whole backfield to himself. So if you're in like one of those middling teams that is like a running back away that needs the production or like the volume, Price is right there for the taking on it, because he could give you he may not be the greatest, he may not have the biggest, production with the amount of things he's given, but I think he'll have so much work because the Seahawks do want to run the ball. I think he'll have so much work that he'll just workload his way into it, and give some of these middling, middle of the pack teams a chance to kind of boost it there for this year. When Charbonnet comes back, I think you're going to see that split backfield again, but I think you get the 1 year out of him. And if that's what you need, this is it. This is the moment to get Price and ride it. So I think you got the 1 year on Price, and after that, the rest is unknown.
Yep. So I think you're right. The price point is that 105, 106 range for Price. I think that's the best way to look at it right now. And, Price, one of his profile negatives was he really didn't get receptions in college. And so does he get the receptions with the Seahawks with really no other people in town? George Halani, I will say, he can catch the ball, and he's dynamic with the ball in his hands. So he's going to have to compete with George Halani, the RB2. You laugh, but it's happening, Colton.
It's happening.
Don't forget about George Halani. Don't forget to pick him up on your waivers, because George Halani, he's a dude.
He is a guy. He's just a guy. And he's going to get work because that's what they want in this system. They want their running backs to be in a committee and get work. So, it'll be interesting to see where he goes, but that's my take on him.
Okay, very good. Well, that is the first round of the NFL draft. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter X, then FF Healers at FFCaptain22. Don't forget to check out fantasyholics.com and Fantasyholics on Facebook. There's articles, there's statistics. It's a good place to just check in anything fantasy. And with that, Colton, that's our show. Don't forget to tune in to the second day of the draft tonight, 6 o'clock. We got second round and the third round of the NFL draft. And then it continues, Colton, tomorrow, rounds 4 through 7. And, where are these guys going to land? And then after that, then you got free agency. Where's the rest of these undrafted guys going? There's so much to take in over these next 2 weeks, Colton. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, I just love the offseason. This is the time to build your team. This is how you do it, and this is where you do it. So listen in and kind of see our takes on these guys and kind of figure out how to finagle it to get your team to be the best that it is and get the value where it's at. So
thank you, everybody, for joining us. Stay tuned for next week's pod. Next week, Colton and I will break down the second and third round of the NFL draft.
Salud.